Taking a loan isn't the problem. Not knowing how to use it is. Most people borrow money and end up stuck in the same place or worse behind. That's not because loans are bad. It's because no one taught them how to make loans work in their favor. In 2026, loans are everywhere for education, business, home, travel, even emergencies. But here's the truth. A loan should help you grow, not keep you stressed and drained. This video is your complete guide to borrowing smart. Not to survive, but to grow. You'll learn how to borrow with purpose, use money with intention, and turn debt into skills, income, and real results. We're not here to repeat what you already know. We're here to shift how you think. This is for people who are ready to take control of their money, move faster in life, and stop making the same mistakes with borrowing. If you're serious about turning loans into real progress, not pressure, this video will change how you borrow forever. Stay with me. This is going to be worth your time. Chapter 1. Learn how loans can speed growth. I want to speak to you as a student of life who has spent decades watching people succeed and struggle. And I want to talk honestly about money and growth and responsibility and choice because that is where real change begins. When people hear the word loan, they often feel tension in their body. Shoulders tighten, mind gets loud, past mistakes come back, fear shows up. That reaction is not about money. That reaction is about experience, and experience can be improved when thinking improves. A loan by itself is not good or bad. It is a tool, and every tool can either help you build or help you hurt yourself depending on how you use it. Fire can warm a home or burn it down. Money borrowed can lift a life or weigh it down. The difference is not the loan. The difference is the person using it and the reason behind it. Growth in life often requires speed. Not reckless speed but meaningful speed. Time matters, age matters, energy matters. Opportunity has a shelf life. Many people stay stuck not because they lack talent or desire, but because they lack access. Access to education, access to better tools, access to a chance. A well-used loan can shorten the distance between where you are and where you could be. That is how loans can speed growth when used with care and purpose. Most people borrow to maintain a lifestyle. They borrow to look good. They borrow to feel better. They borrow to escape discomfort. That kind of borrowing creates pressure. Pressure steals sleep. Pressure steals confidence. Pressure steals focus. That is borrowing that slows growth. Borrowing for growth feels different in the body. It feels intentional. It feels planned. It feels like a step forward, not a cover-up. Growth borrowing starts with a simple question that many people avoid. Will this loan help me earn more, learn more, or become more capable within a reasonable time? If the answer is unclear, the loan is unclear. If the answer is honest and grounded, the loan has potential. Money borrowed should have a job. If money has no job, it becomes a burden. If money has a clear job, it becomes a partner. Think about the difference between borrowing for comfort and borrowing for progress. Comfort fades quickly. Progress compounds slowly but surely. Comfort gives a short feeling. Progress gives long results. Growth loans are tied to skills. Skills that raise income. Skills that create options. Skills that make a person more valuable tomorrow than today. When borrowed money is used to grow skills, it stops feeling like debt and starts feeling like an investment in yourself. Speed matters here. When you can grow faster, you gain confidence faster. Confidence changes posture. It changes tone of voice. It changes decision. A person who sees results believes more in themselves. That belief fuels discipline. Discipline fuels consistency. Consistency fuels results. A smart loan can start that chain reaction when used wisely. But wisdom requires pause. Before any loan, there must be clarity. Clarity about income. Clarity about expenses. Clarity about effort. Clarity about risk. Growth loans are not about hope. They are about preparation. Hope without a plan is fragile. A plan creates calm. Calm leads to better actions. Some people wait too long because they fear debt. They fear mistakes. They fear judgment. Waiting also has a cost. Lost years have a cost. Missed chances have a cost. Stagnation has a cost. The goal is not to avoid loans at all costs. The goal is to avoid blind decisions. When growth is delayed too long, frustration builds. Frustration can lead to poor choices later. A well-timed loan with clear purpose can prevent years of drifting. Borrowing for growth requires respect for money. Respect means you track it. Respect means you know where it goes. Respect means you repay on time, not because of fear, but because of integrity. Paying back what you borrow builds self-trust. Self-trust is powerful. When you trust yourself, you aim higher. You stretch more. You handle pressure better. Many people underestimate the emotional weight of unmanaged debt. It sits in the background of the mind. It steals attention during conversations. It shows up at night when the room is quiet. That is why growth loans must be paired with a repayment plan that fits real life, not a fantasy, not best-case thinking, real numbers, real time, real effort. When repayment fits reality, stress stays low. When stress stays low, focus stays high. Growth also requires ownership. No loan will save someone who avoids responsibility. Borrowed money does not replace discipline. It demands more of it. A person who uses a loan to grow must be willing to work harder than before. Learn faster than before. Show up when motivation is low. That effort is the price of speed. Think about how growth feels when it is happening. You wake up with purpose. You feel tired but satisfied. You see progress even when it is small. A smart loan can support that phase by removing barriers, paying for training, paying for tools, paying for access. These are not luxuries when they move you forward. They are accelerators. The year ahead will reward people who think clearly and act intentionally. Easy money thinking leads to hard lessons. Smart money thinking leads to steady progress. Borrowing smart means understanding that money borrowed is borrowed time and borrowed energy. It must be honored. When honored, it works with you. When ignored, it works against you. Growth loans also teach patience. Results do not arrive overnight. Income may rise slowly. Confidence builds step by step, but momentum is real. Once momentum starts, it carries weight. Momentum makes effort easier. It makes discipline lighter. Borrowing that leads to momentum is borrowing that serves you. The biggest mistake is copying others without understanding yourself. Someone else's loan may work for them and fail for you. Growth borrowing is personal. It must match your income level, your learning speed, your stress tolerance, your life responsibilities. Comparison leads to pressure. Pressure leads to poor decisions. Self-awareness leads to smart decisions. When you borrow for growth, you are making a promise to your future self. A promise to show up, a promise to learn, a promise to finish what you start. Breaking that promise hurts more than losing money. Keeping that promise builds character. Character creates long-term success. Loans can speed growth when they are used to buy time back. Time to learn faster. Time to earn sooner. Time to move out of survival mode. Time is the most valuable resource. Money is only useful when it serves time well. People who grow steadily do not gamble with borrowed money. They plan. They test. They adjust. They stay aware. They ask questions. They stay humble. Humility keeps learning alive. Learning keeps growth alive. A smart borrower thinks long-term while acting daily. Daily actions matter more than big plans. Daily learning, daily tracking, daily discipline. These small actions turn a loan into leverage rather than weight. Growth borrowing also changes how you see yourself. You stop seeing yourself as someone waiting for luck. You start seeing yourself as someone building capacity. That shift is powerful. It changes behavior. Behavior shapes outcomes. The future belongs to those who take responsibility for their progress. Not perfect people, not fearless people, responsible people. Borrowing smart is one form of responsibility when done right. If a loan helps you become more capable, more skilled, more confident and more disciplined, then it has done its job. If it distracts you, drains you or pressures you, then it was taken for the wrong reason. The goal is not fast money. The goal is fast growth. Money follows growth. When growth is real, borrowing is only a bridge. You still have to walk. When you respect the bridge, it carries you. When you rush without thought, it cracks. Growth is a personal decision. Borrowing smart is a personal decision. Speed comes from clarity, not force. Decide carefully. Act responsibly. Learn continuously. Pay back honorably. That is how loans stop being a fear and start becoming a tool. That is how borrowing smart can help you grow faster. Not just in income, but in confidence, discipline, and self-respect. And when self-respect grows, everything else has room to grow with it. Chapter 2. Borrow with purpose, not pressure ever. Pressure is one of the most dangerous forces in human decision-making. Pressure makes good people rush. Pressure makes smart people forget basics. Pressure makes calm people act against their own values. And when pressure is mixed with money, the cost is not just financial. It becomes emotional, mental and personal. That is why borrowing must come from purpose and never from pressure. Pressure borrowing usually starts quietly. A bill arrives earlier than expected. Income slows for a month. Someone else seems to be moving faster. A voice inside says something must be done now. That voice feels urgent, but it is not wise. Pressure does not care about long-term results. Pressure only wants relief. Purpose, on the other hand, wants progress. Purpose is calm. Purpose asks questions. Purpose waits long enough to think clearly. Borrowing with purpose means you know exactly why the money is needed and what will change because of it. Not a vague hope, not a general feeling. A clear reason, a clear use, a clear outcome. When purpose is clear, the mind relaxes. When the mind relaxes, better choices appear. Many people borrow because they feel cornered. They feel embarrassed to slow down. They feel behind others. They feel tired of struggling. Those feelings are human, but they are not instructions. Feelings are signals, not commands. Borrowing based on feelings creates regret because feelings change faster than consequences. Purpose borrowing starts with honesty. Honest income numbers, honest expenses, honest habits, honest effort. Without honesty, purpose cannot exist. When numbers are hidden, purpose becomes a story. Stories feel good, but they do not pay loans back. A purposeful borrower knows the difference between need and urgency. Urgency shouts. Need speaks calmly. Urgency says, act now or lose everything. Need says, act wisely to improve your position. Learning to pause when urgency shows up is a skill that protects your future. Pressure also comes from people. Friends, family, coworkers, social media voices that say everyone is doing it. Those voices do not pay your loan. They do not carry your stress. They do not wake up with your responsibilities. Borrowing to keep up with others creates a life that feels heavy. Borrowing to support your own direction creates a life that feels stable. Purpose gives borrowing boundaries. How much? How long? For what? Boundaries protect peace. Without boundaries, borrowing becomes open-ended and anxiety grows. With boundaries, the mind stays clear and focused. When borrowing has purpose, the body feels different. Breathing stays steady. Sleep stays normal. Energy stays consistent. Pressure borrowing creates tension in the chest and tightness in the stomach. Those physical signals matter. The body often knows before the mind admits it. Purpose also demands patience. Not every problem needs borrowed money. Some problems need time, discipline, or skill. Borrowing too early steals the chance to build strength. Borrowing too late can delay growth. Purpose helps you choose the right moment. A purposeful borrower also plans for the worst, not just the best. If income dips, what happens? If progress is slower, what happens? If stress rises, what happens? Pressure ignores these questions. Purpose answers them calmly. Many regrets come from borrowing to escape discomfort. Discomfort is not the enemy. Discomfort often signals growth trying to happen. Learning new skills is uncomfortable. Changing habits is uncomfortable. Waiting and saving is uncomfortable. Borrowing to avoid discomfort often leads to deeper discomfort later. Borrowing with purpose means you are willing to feel some discomfort now to reduce suffering later. That is maturity. That is self-leadership. Pressure borrowing often sounds like this is the only option. Purpose borrowing sounds like this is the best option among several. Always have options. Even if they are slower, options create power. No options create panic. Purpose also aligns with values. If integrity matters, borrowing must honor repayment. If freedom matters, borrowing must protect cash flow. If peace matters, borrowing must fit your life rhythm. Pressure does not care about values. Purpose never ignores them. A purposeful loan has a start and an end. A reason to enter and a plan to exit. Pressure loans blur both. Blurred plans create long stress. Clear plans create confidence. People who borrow with purpose speak differently. They do not defend their choice. They do not hide it. They do not brag about it. They simply execute their plan. Quiet confidence is a sign of purpose. Borrowing under pressure often leads to secrecy. Bills, hidden statements, avoided conversations, delayed secrecy grows stress. Purpose invites awareness. Awareness reduces fear. Purpose borrowing also respects timing. Not every year is a borrowing year. Not every season is right. Some seasons are for stabilizing, some are for learning, some are for accelerating. Knowing your season prevents regret. When pressure drives decisions, mistakes feel personal. When purpose drives decisions, lessons feel useful. Even when outcomes are not perfect, purpose allows learning without shame. Borrowing with purpose builds self-respect. You know you acted intentionally. You know you considered consequences. You know you did not run from fear. That self-respect strengthens future decisions. Pressure weakens discipline. Purpose strengthens it. A borrower with purpose tracks spending because it matters. A borrower under pressure avoids tracking because it hurts. Purpose also creates alignment between mind and action. When actions match values, stress drops. When actions conflict with values, stress rises. Money decisions reveal alignment quickly. Borrowing with purpose does not mean borrowing without emotion. Emotion is always present. It means emotion does not lead. Purpose leads. Emotion follows. A calm decision today saves many restless nights tomorrow. Calm comes from clarity. Clarity comes from purpose. Borrowing should feel like a deliberate step forward, not a desperate move sideways. It should support your direction, not distract from it. The future rewards those who pause before big decisions. Pausing is not weakness. Pausing is strength. Pressure says hurry. Purpose says prepare. Borrowing under pressure often creates chains. Borrowing with purpose creates leverage. Leverage works only when direction is clear. Without direction, leverage multiplies mistakes. Purpose borrowing requires courage. Courage to say no. Courage to wait. Courage to face numbers. Courage to explain your decision to yourself honestly. Every borrowed dollar should have a reason you can explain calmly 6 months later. If you cannot explain it without tension, it was pressure. Borrowing with purpose protects your energy. Energy is required for growth. Stress drains energy. Calm focus builds energy. A purposeful borrower grows not just financially but emotionally. They learn patience. They learn restraint. They learn confidence rooted in discipline. Borrowing with purpose is not about being perfect. It is about being conscious. Conscious decisions compound into stable lives. When purpose leads, borrowing becomes a tool, not a trap. A support, not a weight. A step forward, not a stumble. Choose purpose. Pressure fades, consequences remain. Borrow with purpose and the mind stays clear. The heart stays steady and progress stays possible even when the path is challenging. That is how borrowing supports growth instead of stealing peace. Chapter 3. Choose loans that pay you back. When you borrow money, you're not just accepting cash, you're entering a deal with your future. And the smartest deals are the ones that give something back. A loan should not just give you temporary relief. It should return value. It should help you get stronger, earn better, live more freely. That's the kind of loan worth taking. The kind that pays you back in real results, not just debt and stress. Most people borrow because they think they need money right now, but they never stop to ask what that money will do for them after the excitement wears off. They don't ask how that loan will improve their life 6 months from now. They don't ask whether that borrowed money will create something lasting, something that makes their future easier, not harder. That's the key. Choose loans that give back more than they take. In 2026, borrowing smart is not a skill. It's a survival strategy. The world moves fast. Opportunities open and close quickly. Access to resources makes the difference between stuck and successful, but access means responsibility. Not every loan helps. Some loans just delay pain. Others multiply it. But the right loan with the right purpose and the right plan can give you time, tools, knowledge, income, or peace of mind. You're not borrowing for the sake of having money. You're borrowing to create momentum. The first question before taking any loan should be, how will this loan improve my situation in a real measurable way? If it doesn't make you better financially, professionally, emotionally, it's not the right loan. The return isn't always just money. Sometimes the loan pays you back by freeing up time to build your business. Sometimes it gives you access to training that raises your value. Sometimes it allows you to relocate to a better place where opportunities are more available. A good loan creates movement. It shifts your direction. It helps you break out of a situation that was holding you back. Too many people get caught in loans that only feed their present, not their future. They borrowed to fill a gap, then find that the gap shows up again next month. Why? Because they didn't borrow with return in mind. They borrowed to avoid pain, not to build strength. Loans that pay you back are tied to outcomes. They're connected to goals. They support a strategy. There's a timeline. There's a clear benefit. And there's a solid plan for repayment that doesn't break your life. You have to treat borrowing like a business decision. What is the return on this debt? What's the gain? And how soon will I see it? Is this helping me earn more? Is it helping me become more capable? Will I have something to show for it when the loan is paid off? These are not complicated questions, but most people don't ask them. They feel stress and reach for quick solutions. That short-term thinking leads to long-term regret. The most powerful kind of borrowing is the kind that increases your capacity. Loans that help you build skills, create income, or develop assets will keep paying you back even after the debt is gone. For example, a loan to get a high-value certification or learn a career-changing skill has the power to raise your income permanently. That's a loan that returns. A loan to start or grow a business with a proven offer or demand, if done with real planning, can lead to independence. That's a loan that pays back. A loan to consolidate high-interest debt into something manageable while correcting the spending habits that caused it creates breathing room and financial clarity. That's a loan with return. It's not about perfection. It's about direction. Are you borrowing to cover up or to level up? There's a truth that's hard for some people to face. Not all loans are created equal, and not all people are ready for the same kinds of loans. Just because it worked for someone else doesn't mean it's right for you. What you need to ask is, can I turn this loan into results that matter to me? Will this loan leave me better off after it's gone? Too often people borrow for things that fade. Clothes, parties, gadgets, things that feel good for a moment but leave nothing behind. The cost stays, but the joy disappears. That's not a smart trade. Loans that pay you back feel different from the beginning. They come with a plan. They come with purpose. They come with accountability. You don't hide from them. You face them fully. You track how the borrowed money is used. You measure the results. You adjust quickly. If something's off, you don't guess. You know, because you thought it through before you signed the papers. Borrowing smart isn't about never making mistakes. It's about building awareness so you don't repeat them. If you've taken loans in the past that hurt more than helped, don't bury the experience. Learn from it. What did the loan give you? What did it take away? Would you do it again under the same terms? What would you do differently now? That kind of reflection gives you strength. It prepares you for better choices next time. Debt that pays you back is tied to your growth, and growth doesn't always show up right away, but the signs are there. You're gaining new habits. You're learning how to manage better. You're handling stress different. You're showing up with more focus. The progress is visible even if the numbers take time to catch up. That's the kind of loan that changes your life. Not overnight, but surely it's also important to look at the terms. A good purpose doesn't excuse a bad agreement. Pay attention to the details. Interest rate, duration, penalties, flexibility, these things matter. A loan with a good purpose and bad terms still leads to pressure. Don't get so focused on the dream that you ignore the cost. A loan should fit into your real life, not your fantasy. If it requires income that doesn't exist yet, be careful. If it depends on everything going right, pause. Build in space for real life to happen. Remember, the goal is not to owe money forever. The goal is to use money as a bridge, not a track. That means choosing loans that get you somewhere specific. Somewhere you couldn't reach without help, somewhere meaningful. Loans that pay you back don't just buy time. They buy transformation. But only when you bring action to them. Once you've borrowed with purpose, you have to protect that purpose with discipline. Stay committed to the result you borrowed for. Don't drift. Don't get lazy. Don't treat the money like free cash. It's not free. It's borrowed from your future. That future deserves respect. Every dollar should go where it was meant to go. And every decision after that should support the outcome you planned. The truth is, money is never just money. It's time. It's energy. It's trust. And when you borrow it, you're borrowing from yourself, from your own future peace. So treat it with care, not fear, just care. Because when you choose the right loans and use them with discipline, something powerful happens. You build not just wealth, but wisdom. And wisdom lasts far longer than any loan. You have the power to use borrowing as a tool for real change. Not by avoiding it, not by fearing it, but by choosing it with clarity, confidence, and purpose. And when you do, the loan doesn't own you. You own the result, and that is how you win. Not just with money, but with life. Chapter 4. Plan loan use before taking money. Before money ever lands in your hands, the decision has already started. Not when you sign the papers, not when you agree to the terms. But the moment the thought of borrowing enters your mind, that's where everything begins. Most people make the mistake of borrowing first and thinking later. That's why they end up overwhelmed, behind, and unsure where the money went. A loan with no plan is like a car with no driver. It might move, but not in the direction you want. Planning loan use before taking money is not just smart. It's necessary if you care about results, peace of mind, and long-term progress. The first thing to understand is that money creates options, and options without clarity create confusion. Borrowed money is not free energy. It's focused energy. And if you don't decide exactly where that energy should go before you take it, it will scatter. That scattering leads to regret. It's easy to say, I'll figure it out once I have the money. But in real life, when money shows up without direction, it usually gets spent on the nearest thing that feels urgent. That's when things spiral. Suddenly, the loan becomes a burden instead of a benefit. Planning ahead means you assign every dollar a job, not a vague purpose, not a rough idea, a specific use. If you're borrowing to start a business, you should know exactly what that money will buy. Equipment, software, marketing, support, training, whatever it is, it should be written down clearly. If the money is for education, Know the exact tuition cost, materials required, and additional fees. If it's to pay off higher interest debt, list out which debts and the exact amount being covered. You do this not because you don't trust yourself, but because you want to stay in control when emotions rise. Emotion is often at its highest right after a loan is approved. Relief kicks in. Excitement shows up. It feels like progress. But excitement without structure creates setbacks. That's why your plan must come before the cash. When the money arrives, there should be nothing to figure out. You execute. You don't wonder. You follow your written plan because that plan was created with a clear head, not a pressured heart. A detailed plan also helps you borrow only what you truly need. People often take more than necessary because they don't do the math first. They say just in case. But just in case creates interest payments on money that sits unused or gets wasted. That's not smart debt. That's expensive indecision. When you know exactly what you need, you borrow with confidence, not fear. You say, this is what I require to achieve this goal and nothing more. Planning ahead also reveals whether you should borrow at all. Sometimes when you sit down and actually write out the plan, you discover that the goal can be reached in another way. Maybe you can delay a few months and save instead. Maybe a smaller amount will do. Maybe part of the plan needs to be handled with effort instead of money. These discoveries only happen when you think before you borrow. Thinking before borrowing is a sign of maturity, not hesitation, not weakness. Maturity. When you plan your loan usage, you also prepare your environment. You cut off distraction. You say no to things that don't match the purpose of the loan. If you borrow to grow your career, your plan should not include a new phone or extra clothes. You draw the line before the money even touches your account. You create a mental boundary. That's how you stay focused when temptation shows up, because it will show up always. Another advantage of planning is that it makes communication easier with your partner, your family, or your business partner. When you have a loan strategy written out, you can explain your decision to anyone and stand behind it. That builds trust. It shows you're not reacting, you're leading. It shows you respect the weight of your financial choices. People can feel that, and when people trust your decision making, they're more likely to support your efforts. Your plan should also include a repayment map. Not just how much you'll pay monthly, but where that money will come from. What part of your income will cover it? Will it affect your savings goal? Will it put pressure on your lifestyle? What happens if your income slows? A full plan includes a backup route because life is unpredictable. Planning loan use also means planning for the unexpected. If you only plan for best-case outcomes, you'll panic the moment reality hits. A strong plan includes space to breathe. And here's something most people don't think about. When you take a loan without a plan, you start hiding from the loan. You avoid checking balances. You ignore statements. You push it out of your head. That avoidance drains mental energy. It creates background stress. Even when you're not thinking about it, it's there. But when you've planned every part of it, there's nothing to fear. You're not guessing. You're managing. Planning before borrowing also builds momentum. Once the money is in motion and you've followed the plan, you start seeing small results. That proof boosts motivation. You feel proud. You feel in control. That feeling feeds action. And consistent action is what turns borrowed money into real growth. Without a plan, borrowed money often becomes scattered noise. A little here, a little there. Nothing really changes. But with a plan, it becomes a focused force. Every decision supports the mission. You build confidence with every step because you know exactly why you're doing what you're doing. Some people avoid planning because they think it slows them down. They want to act now. But the truth is, 5 days of planning can save you 5 years of paying for a bad loan. Planning is not delay. It's direction. It's control. It's peace of mind. You don't need a perfect plan. You just need a clear one. Something honest. Something grounded. Something built on what you know and what you can commit to. You don't plan to impress others. You plan to protect your progress. You plan because it's your life, your effort, your future. If you plan loan use before taking the money, you walk into the decision with open eyes, you reduce regret, you build discipline, you avoid emotional spending, you stay aligned with your goals, and most importantly, you respect the process of borrowing because you understand its power. Borrowing is not about the money. It's about what the money allows. And that allowance needs structure, purpose, and follow through. All of that starts with a plan. Not later. Now, before the money ever hits your hands. That's how strong borrowing decisions are made. That's how results are built. One smart step at a time. Starting with the plan. Chapter 5. Match loan size to real income. One of the biggest mistakes people make when borrowing money is aiming too high for the wrong reason. They take more than they can manage, not because they need it, but because it's available. It feels exciting in the moment, like doors are finally opening. But that kind of excitement turns into stress the moment repayment begins. A smart borrower knows that the right loan amount isn't based what you want to have. It's based on what you can handle. The smartest loans are the ones that fit your real income. Not your imagined income, not your future hopes, but what you're actually earning right now. This is not about thinking small. It's about thinking clearly. Growth doesn't come from overwhelm. It comes from stability and direction. A loan that's too big for your income puts pressure on every part of your life. It shrinks your ability to save. It limits your freedom to spend. It adds weight to your day, even when nothing's gone wrong. All of that happens silently and slowly until one day it becomes a problem you can't ignore. Matching loan size to real income means you're borrowing within your ability, not against it. Real income is not your paycheck on paper. It's what stays in your hands after taxes, bills, food, transportation, and responsibilities are covered. It's what you actually control. If you make $3,000 a month, but $2,400 is already spoken for, then you don't have $3,000 to work with. You have $600. That's your real number. That's your truth. Ignoring that truth is how people end up trapped in cycles of stress and regret. Respecting that truth is how people build confidence and control. Before borrowing anything, sit down with your numbers. Look at your actual income, not your future goals. Look at your actual expenses, not the best case version. See what's left over. That leftover amount is your margin. Your margin is what determines the loan size you can safely handle. A loan is not just about what you can get approved for. It's about what you can live with without compromising your peace of mind. Lenders don't live your life. You do. They approve based on formulas. You have to live with the reality. Just because someone says yes to your application doesn't mean you should say yes to the loan. Approval doesn't mean alignment. It's your job to make sure the loan fits your life, your habits, and your ability to repay without falling behind in other areas that matter. Some people convince themselves they'll earn more soon, so they borrow for the income they expect. That's dangerous. Life doesn't always move on our timeline. Promotions get delayed, clients cancel, plans shift. If your loan depends on everything going right, it's already too risky. Always borrow for where you are, not just where you want to be. If you grow great, you'll be ahead of the curve, but if things stay the same, you won't be drowning. Choosing a loan that fits your income also means you're more likely to finish paying it off. That completion builds confidence. When you finish something you started, you feel stronger, and that strength affects your next decision. The opposite is also true. When you borrow too much and start falling behind, your self-trust gets damaged. And when self-trust breaks down, discipline follows. You stop showing up fully. You avoid responsibilities. That's how one bad loan becomes 5. And suddenly the original goal is gone, replaced by survival mode. When a loan fits your income, you're not afraid to open your banking app. You're not scared when your phone buzzes. You're not hiding from numbers. That level of calm changes your daily energy. It frees up mental space for creativity, learning, building, and connecting. That's what financial clarity gives you. Space to live, not just survive. That freedom is worth more than any luxury item a large loan could buy you. Another reason people take too much is they're trying to impress someone, friends, family, followers, even themselves. They think more money means more confidence. But confidence doesn't come from loan amounts. It comes from making choices that match your reality. When your financial choices match your real income, you feel aligned. You feel stable. You feel proud, not because of how it looks on the outside, but because you know you're being responsible. Smart borrowing is never about ego. It's about structure. It's about sustainability. It's about knowing that the future version of you deserves to live with ease, not stress. Every decision you make today is either helping or hurting that future version. When you match your loan size to your income, you're telling your future self, I've got you. I'm not setting you up for chaos. I'm building something we can both live with. This principle doesn't change whether you're borrowing for school, business, tools, or training. The logic is the same. If the repayment pulls too much of your monthly income, everything else suffers. You stop saving. You miss opportunity. You say no to important things, not because they're wrong, but because your loan is too loud. That's what people forget. A big loan might open one door, but it quietly closes 5 others you didn't expect. Matching loan size to real income also helps you bounce back faster if something unexpected happens. Life will throw things at you. That's guaranteed. If your loan already takes most of your income, you won't have room to adjust. But if you kept things tight, if you planned realistically, if you left space, you'll adapt. You'll recover. You'll stay in control even when things go off track. That kind of resilience isn't luck. It's built through smart preparation. There's no shame in borrowing luck. There's power in restraint. It means you know your numbers. You respect your pace. You understand that progress doesn't need to be dramatic. It just needs to be steady. And steady is what leads to sustainable success. Also, borrowing within your income doesn't mean you have to settle for small dreams. It means you pursue those dreams with strategy. Maybe you break the journey into phases. Maybe you build a track record first. Maybe you combine a smaller loan with increased income effort. That's the kind of thinking that leads to results. Not fantasy, but real earned growth. Your loan should work with your income, not fight against it. When the two are aligned, you'll see steady momentum. You'll stay out of panic mode. You'll feel proud every time you make a payment. Not drained, not resentful, but grateful that you made a smart move. You should never need to sacrifice your peace just to pay a lender. If the numbers don't make sense on paper, they won't make sense in real life either. Be honest about what you can manage. That's not playing small. That's taking control. Growth built on pressure never lasts. Growth built on balance and clarity stays with you. And part of that balance is making sure your loan matches the life you can afford, not just the one you hope for. If your income changes later, great, you can take new steps, but build your foundation with what's true now. Every strong structure begins with knowing your limits and working within them. You don't win by maxing yourself out. You win by staying consistent, staying aware, and staying strong enough to move forward without falling apart. So, if you're going to borrow, make it a choice that supports your life, not one that disrupts it. Match the loan to your real income, and you'll have more control, more freedom, and more energy to focus on what really matters. Building a life you're proud of, one smart decision at a time. Chapter 6. Pay loans without hurting daily life. Paying off a loan should not feel like punishment. It should not take away your ability to live a normal life. You shouldn't have to choose between paying your loan and eating dinner, between meeting your obligations and feeling okay inside. When a loan starts hurting your daily life, your sleep, your energy, your basic needs, something is out of balance. A loan done right works alongside your life, not against it. The goal is not to suffer your way out of debt. The goal is to stay steady while keeping your promise. There's a common misunderstanding that paying off debt faster is always the best option. But faster isn't always wiser if it creates more stress than stability. Paying quickly means nothing if it damages your ability to think, work, and function. Your daily life matters. Your mental space matters. You don't grow by putting yourself under constant financial pressure. You grow by staying consistent with a repayment plan that fits your real lifestyle, not your imagined one. Before paying anything, you a full picture of your daily financial life. That includes what you spend on food, transport, bills, responsibilities, and even small things that bring you peace, like time with family, a walk, or a good book. These aren't luxuries. They are part of what helps you stay strong. A repayment plan that takes all of that into account is not soft. It's sustainable. You're not lazy for needing balance. You're smart for building a system you can actually stick to. Start by deciding what you need each month to live well, not extravagantly. Just well, enough to eat properly. Get to work, rest without guilt, and stay mentally clear. That amount is your foundation. No repayment plan should take from that. Anything that puts your survival or well-being at risk is a sign the loan size or schedule is wrong. That doesn't mean you avoid repayment. It means you adjust with intention. The truth is, a lot of people fall behind on loans not because they don't care but because the terms don't fit their life. And once they miss one payment, shame kicks in. They start avoiding email. They stop checking balances, and then things get worse. But the problem started way earlier with a plan that ignored real life. Your plan must include breathing room. Without it, the pressure builds, and when you're under pressure every day, motivation drops, focus disappears, and eventually you break your own routine. Paying loans without hurting daily life means knowing your emotional limits, too. If your plan keeps you awake at night, makes you snap at people you love, or fills you with dread every time you open your wallet, it's not a good plan, even if the math says it works. Numbers matter, but your health matters more. Emotional clarity is part of financial success. If the weight of the loan feels too heavy, adjust the load, stretch the time, reduce the amount, create a path that honors both your goals and your humanity. Your repayment plan also needs to support your energy levels. Energy is currency. If you're drained every day from overwork just to make payments, your progress won't last. You'll eventually burn out or collapse emotionally. The plan has to work on your busiest days, not just your best ones. Can you follow through even when you're tired, sick, distracted, or overwhelmed? If not, it's too tight. Make it flexible. Make it honest. Make it fit your life, not the life you wish you had. Another key is building in joy. Joy doesn't mean waste. It means giving yourself space to feel good while paying off what you owe. Maybe it's setting aside a small weekly budget for something simple, a coffee, a book, a walk somewhere quiet. These things help your mind reset. You're not weak for needing that. You're strong for including a repayment plan that erases all joy is not discipline. It's slow self-destruction. You also need systems to make things easier. Automate what you can. Use reminders. Set up payments to match your income schedule. Remove guesswork so you don't have to make decisions every week. Simple systems reduce emotional weight. They let you stay focused on what matters. The rest of your life. And don't forget, your progress matters even if it's slow. Paying $50 each week might feel small, but over time it's massive. That consistent rhythm builds trust in yourself. It shows you that you follow through, that you finish what you start, that you don't need to rush to win. You just need to stay moving. If your current plan is hurting your life, ask what needs to change. Can you lower your monthly amount? Can you extend the loan? Can you speak to your lender? Many people stay silent and suffer thinking they have no options. But silence doesn't solve problems. Communication does. Many lenders are willing to work with you if you show up early and honestly. You might also consider adjusting your income. Sometimes the best way to protect your daily life is by increasing what you bring in, not just cutting what you spend. A side job, a freelance gig, or selling a service or skill you already have. Small boosts in income can create massive breathing room in your repayment plan. You don't need to overhaul your whole life. You just need enough margin to stay balanced. Staying connected to your why helps, too. Why did you borrow this money? What did it help you do or become? Keep that purpose close. Write it down. Look at it off. That purpose will remind you why you're following through, but don't let the purpose become pressure. You can honor your reason without hurting yourself along the way. Purpose should lift you, not crush you. Remember that peace is part of progress. A plan that brings peace, even if it takes longer, is always better than a plan that drains your spirit. Paying off loans is not a race. It's a process. And the people who win are not always the fastest. They're the ones who stay consistent, healthy, and clear. Paying your loan without hurting your life means you still get to smile. You still get to live. You still get to enjoy moments with people you love. That joy does not take away from your progress. It fuels it. You need your full self to succeed. Not a tired version of you. Not a pressured version, a full grounded, clear version. This is your life, not a spreadsheet, not a formula. And your plan should respect that. If it doesn't change the plan, not your worth. A smart borrower adjusts, adapts, and protects what matters most. Because real success isn't just about paying off a loan. It's about staying whole while doing it. Chapter 7. Turn loans into skills, assets, income. Borrowing money should never stop at receiving the cash. That's only the start. What truly matters is what happens next. What you do with that money. If the loan doesn't grow into something more, it wasn't worth it. The smartest way to use any loan is to turn it into something stronger than what you borrowed, something that lasts, something that earns, something that multiplies your future. A loan, when used intentionally, should become either a skill you can use, an asset you can build on, or income you can rely on. If it doesn't create one of those three, it's just money that passed through your hands, gone, forgot. But when you turn a loan into a skill, an asset, or income, you turn it into something that gives back over and over. Start with skills. Skills are your strongest investment because no one can take them away. A skill once built moves with you from job to job, season to season, economy to economy. If you borrow money to learn something that makes you more valuable, that loan becomes a foundation. It creates new options. You're no longer limited to low-paying tasks or unstable work. You have the power to offer more. You can charge more. You can solve more complex problems. That makes you needed. That makes you confident. That makes you powerful in the market. But not all learning is equal. Before using borrowed money to sign up for a course or training, ask, will this skill lead to better income? Will it increase my confidence? Is it in demand? Is it something I will actually use? Learning just to feel productive is not the same as building real ability. You don't need more certificates. You need more capability. The right course at the right time can raise your income for the rest of your life. That's a loan well spent. Now think about assets. An asset is something that holds value or grows value over time. It could be a tool. It could be equipment. It could be a website. It could be inventory for your business. When you borrow to build assets, you're preparing for long-term return. You're creating something that can work for you, even when you're not working. But this only works if the asset is used wisely. Buying tools you don't know how to use is not smart. Buying gear you don't use consistently is wasted potential. But when you borrow with a clear strategy, when you know what you need, how you'll use it, and what return you expect, the borrowed money turns into a foundation. Something real, something useful. Not every asset is physical. Sometimes it's digital. Sometimes it's a brand, sometimes it's your online presence. If you use a loan to set up something that positions you better, attracts more clients, or gets your voice heard, that's an asset, too. It doesn't always look like a product, but it creates leverage. You build once and benefit over time. Income is the most obvious return, but it's also the most misunderstood. Some people borrow thinking income will just show up. It doesn't. Income is the result of action, not the result of the loan. The loan only gives you a chance. You still have to show up. You still have to deliver. You still have to follow through. But if you use the loan to open up space, to free yourself up to work, to learn, to sell, then income can grow. That's how the cycle works. Money gives space. Space gives action. Action gives income, but the steps must be clear. If you skip one, the income won't show. Let's say you borrow to launch a service. Maybe you're a graphic designer. You use the money to buy a better laptop, build a clean website, and invest in your first round of marketing. That's a loan turned into tools, presence, and visibility. Then you go out and deliver quality work. Clients come back, word spreads, income follows. That is not luck. That is borrowed money being used with precision. No waste, no guessing, just action toward income. This approach works at every level. You don't need a huge loan to make it meaningful. Even a small amount used smartly can create transformation. A few hundred to learn a technical skill, a few hundred more to start a simple online service. When you respect the money, even a small loan becomes powerful. What you must avoid is using loans on things that disappear. Food, clothes, entertainment, these are fine when covered by income. But if borrowed money is going into those areas without strategy, it's not building anything. It's filling a moment. And once that moment is gone, the debt remains. That's how people get stuck. They carry the weight of past decisions that didn't give anything back. A good question to ask before spending any borrowed money is, will this make me more useful, more prepared, or more valuable within the next 3 to 6 months? If the answer is yes, you're on the right track. If the answer is unclear, or based on wishful thinking, stop and reassess. Not all investments pay off immediately, but they should have a pathway. You should be able to explain the plan clearly. If you can't explain it, you probably can't execute it. Using loans to build income or assets also requires discipline. Just getting the money doesn't make things happen. It's easy to feel productive when the funds arrive, but that feeling wears off fast. You need to attach the loan to habits. Habits of learning, building, communicating, selling. Without those, even the best plan stays stuck on paper. You have to move. You have to act daily. That's how the loan turns into something better. There's something empowering about using borrowed money to build yourself instead of impress others. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. You just need to follow through on your vision. When you know the money is working for you, building your income, strengthening your skill set, growing your assets, you walk differently, you feel in charge, you don't panic about the repayment because you know what it created. You see the value. You feel the return. This is where most people go wrong. They don't connect the loan to a clear return. They think short term. They borrow based on emotion or fear. But fear is not a strategy. Emotion is not a business plan. You need logic. You need vision. You need a reason. A good loan should not only take you out of a tough spot. It should place you in a better one. One where you have more control, more income, more opportunity. You owe it to yourself to make every borrowed dollar count. Whether it becomes a skill you use for life, an asset that supports your goals, or an income stream that grows with time, that loan should never stay as just a number. It should become part of your strength, something that moves you forward, something that works even after the debt is paid off. Turning loans into skills, assets, and income doesn't happen by accident. It happens by decision, by intention, by taking the money seriously, not emotionally. The next time you borrow, don't just look at how it feels. Look at what it builds. If it builds nothing, it's a cost. If it builds something, it's a step toward freedom. Choose to build. Choose to grow. That's how loans work in your favor. That's how you stop surviving and start moving forward with purpose, with clarity, and with real result. Chapter 8. Avoid loans that delay your progress. There are loans that move you forward, and there are loans that quietly hold you back. Not every loan is helpful, even if it looks good on the surface. Some of the worst financial decisions come disguised as smart choices. They promise relief, comfort, speed, or status. But in reality, they slow you down, lock you into cycles, and drain your focus. If your goal is growth, freedom, or momentum, you have to learn to avoid the loans that delay your progress, not just the ones that look bad on paper. Some loans don't look dangerous until you're stuck paying for a decision that gave you nothing useful in return. The real danger isn't just the money you owe. It's the time you lose. A loan that delays your progress takes away your ability to make strong moves in the future. It holds your income hostage. It limits your options. It forces you to make choices based on what you owe instead of what you're capable of. That's not growth. That's survival. You end up working harder just to stay in place. A loan delays your progress when it doesn't lead to anything meaningful. If you borrow to buy things that won't help you learn, earn, or build something lasting, you've taken on debt without a return. When that payment comes due every month, it doesn't remind you of progress. It reminds you of a moment you can't take back. The more you repeat that, the longer you stay stuck. Before accepting any loan, ask yourself one honest question. Will this help me become better in a way that lasts longer than the loan? If the answer is no, walk away. It doesn't matter how small the amount is, how good the offer looks, or how tempting the benefit seems in the moment. If it doesn't build anything real, if it doesn't create momentum, it's a delay. And delays are costly. Some loans delay your progress because they are simply too large. They force you to spend years paying them off. And during those years, your options shrink. You can't invest in yourself. You can't take risks. You can't pivot if life changes. All your money is tied up in trying to escape a choice that wasn't built on clarity. The size of the loan might feel like excess, but if your income can't support it without stress, it becomes a weight, not a boost. Other loans delay your progress by distracting you. They pull you off track. You started with a clear goal and now your energy is tied up in something that has nothing to do with it. Maybe you borrowed to upgrade your lifestyle instead of your ability. Maybe you borrowed to impress someone else. Maybe you thought short-term comfort would help you think clearer, but it didn't. It just pushed your real goals further away. Distraction is dangerous because it feels like movement, but it steals your direction. Some of the worst loans are the ones you take out just to catch up with others. You see someone with a new car, a new place, a new phone, and you feel behind. That feeling turns into pressure. So you borrow to level the playing field. But here's the truth. You never catch up by copying someone else's life. You move forward by building your own with your own timing, your own values, and your own vision. Any loan made to close a comparison gap is a loan that trades your future for a feeling that won't last. There are also emotional loans, the kind you take when you're tired, frustrated, or anxious. In those moments, a loan feels like a solution. But you're not thinking about results. You're thinking about relief. And relief is temporary. It doesn't fix the core issue. It just delays it. When the payment hits, the emotion is gone, but the problem remains, and now you owe money on top of it. These loans are dangerous, not because of the numbers, but because of the mindset. You borrowed while disconnected from your long-term direction. The challenge is that these delaying loans don't always look bad at first. They come in friendly packages, low interest, quick approval, no payments for 6 months. They speak your language. They know how to sell ease, but ease today doesn't mean progress tomorrow. Every delay in facing your goals is a delay in achieving them. The money doesn't give you progress, you do. The money just gives you the opportunity, and the wrong loan takes that opportunity away. Avoiding these loans starts with knowing what actually moves you forward. You need clarity on your goals. You need to know your income, your capacity, and your pace. You need to understand what you're building and how this loan supports that. If the loan doesn't align with the next stage of your life, don't take it. It's not your job to say yes to everything that's offered to you. It's your job to say yes only when it makes sense for your growth. You also need to slow down before borrowing. The faster the decision, the more likely it's based on emotion. Take a day. Take 3. Talk to someone who knows you. Lay out the numbers. Ask what you'll really gain from this loan and what it might cost you beyond the money, your time, your energy, your flexibility. Some loans look fine financially, but carry a hidden cost in stress and lost opportunity. Those are harder to see, but they're real. Sometimes the best decision is not to borrow at all. You might realize that what you want is still out of reach for now, and that's okay. Patience doesn't mean inaction. It means preparation. If you know what you're working toward, you can keep moving forward without borrowing. And when the time comes to borrow for the right reason, you'll do it with confidence and clarity, not fear and confusion. There's a difference between movement and progress. Movement is doing something. Progress is doing something that leads somewhere. A loan that delays your progress gives you movement without direction, and that feels like running in circles. You think you're working hard, but you're not getting closer to your goal. That's exhausting. That drains your belief in yourself, and over time, you stop trusting your own decision. You deserve better than that. You deserve to feel proud of your progress. You deserve to know that your decisions are moving you closer to something meaningful. That starts with staying away from loans that pull you off course. Not just the risky ones, not just the large one, even the small tempting ones that whisper ease. If they don't build your future, they are not worth the repayment. Your job isn't just to borrow less. It's to borrow better. Borrow only when it's aligned. Borrow only when you're clear. Borrow only when the return is real. That's how you avoid delay. That's how you protect your momentum. That's how you stay on track when life gets noisy. Progress requires protection, not just from distractions, but from decisions that look helpful, but actually slow you down. When you learn to see those loans for what they are, short-term comfort with long-term cost, you take back your power, you stop chasing ease and start building something solid, something real, something worth waking up for. Not all loans are wrong, but many are wrong for you and your timing. Trust your path, trust your pace, and never trade real progress for a quick escape. You have what it takes to move forward. Don't let the wrong loan take that away from you. Chapter 9. Build credit strength through smart borrowing. Credit is more than just a number. It's a reflection of how you handle responsibility. It tells a story, not about how much money you've had, but how well you've managed what you borrowed. And in today's world, credit strength can open doors or keep them closed. Your credit affects your ability to rent, to buy, to invest, to qualify for better opportunities. But building credit isn't about borrowing often. It's about borrowing smart. One solid decision followed by consistency and discipline will do more for your credit than a dozen risky shortcuts ever will. Smart borrowing means knowing why you're borrowing, what it costs, and how it fits into your current income. It also means borrowing amounts that are within your control, not beyond it. You don't prove anything by taking big loans. You build strength by handling small ones well. When you borrow an amount that you can comfortably repay on time every month, you're telling the system and more importantly yourself that you're capable of keeping your word. And that's the core of credit. Trust built through behavior. Every payment you make on time builds a small layer of strength. It may feel invisible at first, but behind the scenes it's working in your favor. Your score increases not from dramatic moves but from steady patterns. Lenders want to see habits, not luck. They want to know that you manage money with care even when no one is watching. And those habits show up through your actions. That means choosing loans that align with your actual income. It means never borrowing based on hope. It means being willing to wait until the loan makes sense. Smart borrowers don't just think about approval. They think about impact. Will this loan improve my life without putting my future at risk? Can I make the payments without stress? Will paying it off give me more freedom? These questions help filter out choices that seem attractive but carry hidden costs. And that filtering is what protects your credit from damage caused by rushed decisions. Your credit strength also depends on how long you manage your credit well. It's not just about getting it right once, it's about getting it right repeatedly. That means setting up systems that help you succeed. Automate payments, keep reminders, check your balances regularly. Small tools like these reduce human error and protect your consistency. Your goal is not perfection. It's reliability, and systems support that. Using credit cards can help if done right. Use a small portion of your limit. Pay the balance on time in full. Never use credit to spend money you don't have. Use it to show that you can manage access to money responsibly. Credit cards are not free cash. They are tools to signal financial behavior. And the behavior they reveal becomes your track record. Loans like personal loans, student loans, or auto loans also affect your credit. When you take one, think about how it fits your timeline. If it's long-term, be even more cautious. You need to be able to stay consistent over years, not just months. Don't sign up for a loan just because the monthly payment looks low. Look at the full cost over time. A smaller monthly payment on a longer loan could cost more in the end. Know what you're signing up for, not just what it feels like in the moment. Your credit also improves when you avoid unnecessary loans. You don't need to borrow just to show activity. You don't need to carry debt to have a strong credit profile. You just need to manage what you do. Borrow well. Sometimes the smartest move is saying no and giving yourself more time to prepare. That decision also strengthens your financial mindset, which is even more important than your credit score. Smart borrowing builds character. It teaches you to delay gratification, to live below your means, to be patient. These qualities don't just help your credit, they help your entire life. When you have strong credit, you walk into rooms with more confidence. You make bigger moves without fear. You negotiate better terms. You save money on interest. That confidence isn't arrogance, it's security earned through consistent action. Another key to building credit strength is dealing with mistakes quickly. If you miss a payment, don't run from it. Face it. Contact the lender. Pay as soon as you can. Fixing one issue early is much easier than letting it grow. Credit systems value recovery. They reward people who take ownership. You don't have to be flawless. You just have to be engaged and responsible. Tracking your credit is a habit worth building. You can check your credit report for free in many countries. Look for errors. Watch for patterns. Understand what's being recorded. The more aware you are, the less likely you are to make decisions that hurt you. Credit is a game of awareness and discipline, not chance. Smart borrowing also includes knowing when to stop. If you've borrowed enough for now, focus on managing what you have. The temptation to borrow again just because you're approved is real. But don't mistake availability for necessity. Just because you can take more credit doesn't mean you should. The goal is not to collect loans. The goal is to manage wisely the ones you already have. If you're early in your credit journey, start small. One secure credit card, one small personal loan with a clear purpose. Build a few on-time payments. Build history. Build confidence. Then slowly expand. Credit growth is like fitness. Steady practice always beats sudden intensity. If you've damaged your credit before, know that you're not stuck. Credit can be rebuilt. It takes time, but it's possible. The steps are the same. Borrow within your limits. Make payments on time. Monitor your progress. Stay committed. Your past doesn't define your future. What matters most is what you do next. Credit isn't just about borrowing. It's about how you handle what you've borrowed. Smart borrowing respects your time, your income, and your life goals. It supports your journey, not just your bills. A strong credit score isn't something you chase. It's something you build by living with intention and follow through. When you borrow smart, you not only increase your credit score, you increase your control. And control gives you peace. It gives you access. It gives you freedom to say yes to the right things and no to the wrong ones. That's real power. And it's power you build one smart step at a time. Borrow for progress. Borrow with purpose. Borrow within reason. And you'll build credit strength that supports every goal ahead. Not just the financial ones, but the life you want to live. Chapter 10. Grow faster by using loans. Wisely. Growth takes time, but time alone is not enough. Growth needs direction, effort, and smart decisions. In a world where everyone wants results fast, it's easy to fall into the trap of borrowing just to move quickly without thinking clearly. But when used wisely, a loan can speed up your progress without costing you your peace. The key word is wisely, because a loan used without planning, purpose, or discipline doesn't create growth. It creates stress. But the same loan applied with focus and care can move you toward your goals faster than you ever thought possible. Growing faster isn't about pushing harder. It's about making decisions that give you a real advantage. A loan can be one of those decisions when it's used to remove obstacles that are slowing you down. For example, maybe you've hit a ceiling in your career because you lack a certain certification or skill. Instead of waiting years to save the money, you borrow a small amount to pay for the course, finish it in a few months, and immediately qualify for better work. That's smart borrowing. That's using a loan to collapse time and grow faster. The difference is clarity. When you know why you're borrowing, how you'll use the money, and what the return looks like, you stay in control. You're not guessing. You're making a decision rooted in reality. And when reality supports your plan, progress comes naturally. The loan isn't a burden. It's a tool. And tools don't work on their own. You need to hold them, guide them, and use them for something that matters. Using loans wisely starts with defining the result you want, not a vague idea like more money or a better life. You need to name the specific outcome. What exactly will change after this loan is used? Well, will you increase your income by a certain amount? Will you reduce costs in a measurable way? Will you gain access to something that creates new opportunities? Without a clear target, the loan has nowhere to land. It just disappears into scattered spending. Next, you need a plan, a real plan, a list of actions the loan will fund with a timeline and a repayment strategy that fits your life. You shouldn't have to sacrifice sleep or your mental health just to make a payment. If the numbers don't work on paper, they won't work in real life either. But when the loan size fits your income and every dollar has a job, the repayment feels natural. Not easy, but manageable. And when things are manageable, consistency becomes possible. Growth also means facing the truth about your habits. If your spending is emotional, undisciplined, or impulsive, borrowing will only make things worse. You don't fix a leaky bucket by pouring in more water. You fix the bucket first. Before taking a loan, make sure your current income is being handled with care. Are you budgeting with intention? Are you tracking where your money goes? If not, start there. A loan added to chaos creates more chaos, but a loan added to a system creates acceleration. Another way to grow faster with loans is by investing in tools that increase your output. If you're a content creator, it might be better gear. If you're in business, it might be better systems. If you're in education, it might be specialized material. These tools don't just sit there. They help you deliver more, improve your quality, and reach more people, but only if you actually use them. Too many people borrow for tools and then leave them untouched, waiting for the perfect time. That's not smart. That's delay in disguise. Growth doesn't wait. If you take the loan, you activate the plan, not next month. Now, wisely using a loan also means protecting your energy. You don't want to be constantly anxious or overwhelmed. That slows down your creativity, your decision-making, and your consistency alone should support your progress, not make you question your every move. That's why emotional readiness matters. Don't borrow because you're scared. Borrow because you're ready to move. And that kind of readiness feels calm, clear, and focused. You also grow faster when your borrowing aligns with your values. If peace matters to you, don't borrow in a way that adds pressure. If freedom matters, make sure the loan leads to independence, not dependency. If learning matters, borrow for something that truly teaches you something valuable. That alignment keeps you motivated, especially when things get hard, because no loan guarantees success. You still have to put in the effort. But when your reason is strong, your effort feels lighter. Growth happens faster when you have accountability. If you borrow with no one watching, it's easier to drift. But if you have someone you trust, a mentor, a friend, or even yourself in writing to check in with, your decisions stay sharp. You stay honest, share your plan, share your numbers, talk about your progress. That kind of openness protects you from slipping into bad habits. And remember this, you don't need to go big to grow fast. Small loans used wisely can create more results than large loans used carelessly. It's not about size, it's about precision. A $1,000 loan used to learn a skill that brings in $500 a month is far more powerful than a $10,000 loan used on something vague. If you're sharp with your purpose and clear with your plan, small steps turn into big wins. Wise borrowing is not about luck. It's about awareness. You're aware of your money, your goals, your behavior, and your limits. That awareness makes you dangerous in the best way, because now you're no longer reacting. You're choosing. You're not just taking what's offered. You're creating your path on your turn. The people who grow the fastest are not the ones who rush. They're the ones who stay intentional. They slow down to get it right. They build their foundation first. And once that foundation is strong, they use the loan to move further. Not to stay afloat, but to expand. That's what growth really is. Expansion in the right direction. Not bigger, not louder, just deeper, stronger, and more stable. The loan doesn't create the growth you do. The loan just removes what's in the way if used right. It gives you access to tools, time, and education that can't be reached with savings alone. But those things still need your effort, still need your focus, still need your hands. So use loans wisely. Let them be a ladder, not a trap. Let them lift you towards something that matters. Let them shorten the gap between who you are and who you're becoming. That's the real power of smart borrowing. It doesn't just change your bank account. It changes how you live, how you think, and how you lead yourself. That's how you grow faster. Not by chasing speed, but by choosing wisely every step of the